Hey everybody, this is Jim, the tabletop engineer, and welcome to a live chat on Tuesday, January 21st. It is cold in my basement. It's currently about 40 degrees. I was wearing the hoodie. I don't know. I feel weird being inside and wearing a hoodie, but gonna try it without. And yeah, here in Atlanta, believe it or not, the temperature is very low. It's been around 23 degrees all afternoon or around lunchtime hour. And my parents who live near Pensacola, Florida, and my in-laws who live in Mobile, Alabama, they have snow. We do not in Atlanta. Somehow there was this middle bit of air that they got snow on the Gulf Coast, and slightly below us, part of South Georgia got snow or is getting snow right now, but we've dodged it. Now that can change. They said that the afternoon, there's the cloud. It's very cloudy outside, and they said it's very possible that we may still get some snow. I could do without it. It's already cold enough. I don't need it any more cold. But yeah, we may still get some more snow after it melted from last week. It melted, everything came back to normal. Then hopefully we don't get it again, but it's possible. Today I'm doing a bunch of stuff. I'm going to be doing some more painting. I'll share that with you. I'm going to wait a few minutes and let some people come on board. You're welcome to type away in the chat window. I'll try to answer any questions or maintain a semi one-sided conversation, text, audio. Jürgen says hello from Germany. Is it Guten Tag? I'm sorry. I do not know German. I may have picked up a little bit, but thank you. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live chat. It's good to hear from you. I have a bunch of terrain I want to get done up today. My 3D printers just stopped. It is Guten Tag. I did it. Okay, that's all I know. That's a 9. I know 9. My dad took German all through college, and I remember with his job, he sometimes would interface with some of his German partners in the company he worked for. And it was really interesting hearing him speak that language. I find languages fascinating. I used to speak Spanish, Espanol, pretty well. I could hold my own, and that was when I lived in Texas, but it's been 20 years, and I could probably get it back if I really sunk into it. But yeah, I've always liked the idea of speaking other languages. Just it's difficult. Here in the United States, they don't really encourage it. I know in Europe and in a lot of countries, encourage your native language and English. And it's just, it's unfortunate that those of us here in the United States, they do offer it in school, but they don't push it. They don't really push bilingual nator. Hey, Toby, welcome. They don't push it. I wish they did. I wish I had grown up speaking more than one language. Before I forget, I want to share a new game with you. It's small. It's not out yet. And I do apologize for showing it off, but it will be soon. There is a guy here in Atlanta. His name is Brian Collin. I met him years ago at Gen Con. Man, it has been a long time. And we just started chatting, and I found out he lived in Atlanta, where I live. And so I've maintained contact with him. And he is the creator of the RPG called Vast Grimm. If you don't know about it, it's this sci-fi RPG. The universe is, it's just falling apart. Scavengers are having to just find technology and weapons and anything they can to survive. And it's a really fascinating game. But what has always grabbed me about Vast Grimm was the artwork and the color. It's very psychedelic. Lots of neon colors and very vivid use of the colors in an artwork that is this. It's almost, I hope Brian doesn't get offended that I call it this, but it's almost psychotic. It's like when you're staring at it, it's crazy artwork that when you look at it, it's hard to sometimes discern what it is you're seeing. I mean, I'll share it with you in just a second. So Vast Grimm is his RPG. just this past weekend, we had a convention here in Atlanta called, I've got my heater going on over here. We had a convention here called Dice and Diversions. It's the second year. Last year was the first occasion. I missed it because I had COVID, if I remember right. I did attend this year, and it was really cool. They actually grew fast enough that they had to move venues to a bigger hotel. This is a spin-off convention from Southern Fried Gaming Expo, which is in usually July timeframe here in Atlanta. Anyway, Brian had a booth there, and I ran into him, and we just started talking, and he let me know that he has created a skirmish war game based on the Vast Grim RPG. He showed me some early looks at some of the miniatures, and it looks really good. And it is definitely a game I will give a shot, because I love skirmish war games because they have a low investment in terms of money. You just need like maybe 5 to 10 miniatures. A lot of times skirmish games have solo rules, so you can play solo. But again, it has that artwork and aesthetic and just that look of Vast Grim. But that's not the game I want to share with you. Over to the side, he had some advanced copies of a card game that he has created. It is a spin-off of Vast Grim. All of his stuff, he's really doing well. I got to give him credit for taking that Vast Grim setting that he created and really running with it. And, you know, creating the skirmish game was a nice thing. Creating the card game, he's doing very well. I have to say he's prolific with his game creation stuff. The game is called Plunderlust. Let me see if I can get a focus here. All right, this is it. You can see it's called the Revenant's Raider deck. And it says down at the bottom by Duncan Hall and Brian Collin. I think Duncan Hall is the one who came up with the rules, and Brian came up with the setting and the artwork and the theme and things like that. I think they worked together on it. This is a solo game or a multiplayer game. Random guy. Hey, random guy. It is a solo card game. If you want to play solo, you just need one deck. He has, I'm probably going to get this wrong. David Muniz says, howdy. Hey, David. Hope you're doing okay in California. Been thinking about you, man. This is one of 6 or 7 decks. I think he said 7, maybe 6. And each deck has a different theme. And the theme is the Raiders are the scavengers of the world, right? And you're going to be able to play against another person, captain versus captain, or you can play solo. And I watched a learn how to play video. It's pretty cool. I am not a huge game player. I do play Arkham Horror, the card game, and there are a couple other card games. Like I play Marvel Champions, but Marvel Champions you can play solo, so you can play Arkham Horror solo. So those are only the games I play because I can play them solo. It's very difficult for me to find card games that interest me that also interest other people. Here in Atlanta, it's rare for me to find people who really want to play the card game. Now, I do have a regular weekly game of Marvel Champions, and that's absolutely great. I love it. But this game, I watched the Learn to Play, and I broke out the cards the other night, and I played a fast game. It plays in under, it says 45 minutes. I got it done in about 30 minutes. And everything you need is in here, except you need tokens to like track your health and stuff like that. And you also need a set of gaming dice. That means a D4, D6, D8, D12, D10, and a D20. You get those dice, you get some tokens just to track health and battery power and things like that, and you're good to go. But what I want to do is I want to share with you real quick the artwork. I tell you, Brian has created a fascinating world. The artwork, like I said, I described it as sort of look at that. It's wild colors. It's like the art has been sort of, vandalized. I love that look. There's a lot of repeat cards. Let me see if I can find some of you. Here's a mecha armor card. The base suit. right here. I don't want to go through the whole deck. There's like 6 cards here. Here's One-Eyed Plankwalker. This is an ally that you could hire for your crew. There's blue cards are potential crew members that you can hire. There are purple cards that are mercenaries. Like here's Scabbard Bot. Here's Salty Dog, right there. Salty Dog. There's probably about 10 mercenaries, about 10 crew. There's and then there's a lot of enemies, and also there are location decks. Like this one is called the Power Station. The way I'm not going to go super detailed into it, but in a nutshell, here's how it plays. You're going to draw a hand, and everything's like this 7-7. You're going to draw 7 cards that are like a counter. It's a timer that's counting down. If it ever gets to 0, your game's over and you lose. You do win if you defeat the boss monster or boss creature or boss robot. There's different bosses in here. And so I think there's 2. So when one comes up, if you fight it and beat it, you win the game. But while you're trying for that boss, you're visiting different locales. Each locale is going to give you some funds that you can buy equipment, weapons, and things with. And these are cards that you draw, and you might draw all weapons, or you might draw all enemies. It's an interesting mechanic because the draw is limited to 7, and you have to now at the end of your turn you can always discard to get a bigger hand, but you're limited to what you draw on that turn. So if it's all enemies and you visit a locale, you're going to end up fighting an enemy, but you may not be able to buy any allies or any mercenaries. The other thing, the mercenaries, if you don't buy them when they first show up for your crew, it's very possible when you find a locale, you may get a certain number of money. And the rules state that you start with the highest thing you can buy. So if there's an enemy on there that costs 70 and you have 80 credits, then the 70 will buy that big, or the 80 will buy that big enemy and leave you with 10 credits. But let's say there's 100 credits. So you buy the 70, you have 30 left. Well, if a mercenary costs 30 and you didn't buy it when you had the opportunity, that mercenary now becomes an enemy that is going to be fighting against you. And it's sort of like a rival crew, them to join ranks with the robot to hurt you. So you can kind of get an idea of how the multiplayer game works. You're going to be playing your deck, your opponent's playing their deck, and you're going to be shoving mercenaries against the other player or hiring them to help you to do damage. It's pretty cool. The deck has a fixed size. I want to say it's 60 cards. So you and your opponent, it's fair. There is going to be, as I could be wrong here, but as I understand it, I think there's some crossover. Like once you have multiple packs, you can like sub in cards and things like that. Also, I suspect Brian may have like upgrade packs coming. Typically, when people do card games, they have extra stuff like upgrade packs and accessory packs and stuff. So I don't know what Brian has planned for the game. It is a 1 to 2 player. The deck, I think I paid $13 for it. So, and that was at the convention. I don't know if I got a discount because it was at a convention. I suspect there'll be shipping costs if you have to buy it from him. But if you're interested, go to vastgrim.com, and it's VASTGRIMM, right down there at the bottom, vastgrim.com. He also has plunderlusttcg.com, which is the website, I guess, just for the card game. Again, like I said, I played a solo and some mistakes, so I am going to play again. I've read the rules. I've got a few questions for Brian. I've read the rules. I'm going to be shooting a playthrough very shortly, maybe today, and get this posted up so see how it plays. And but my initial playthrough, initial take on it was fun. It was very fun. It was very fast paced. There's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of like, do you bank your money or do you go ahead and get that battery pack or that armor, which might help you now, but you're saving for something bigger that's in your hand that hasn't gotten destroyed yet or removed. And the allies are in range from super like weak, like low cost, to really super powerful. So there's this whole banking thing, there's this whole question you have of, pushing your luck. And the more locales you visit, I think there's like 10 or so locales in the deck. The more locales you visit, the more funds you'll start banking up. But it also means some enemies you may have to return to. Anyway, check out the website and see if it's something of interest to you. If it is, it'll be interesting to see if he creates a digital, what's that? I just went blank on it. The tabletop environment where you can play digitally. It'll be interesting to see if this is on there. So let's see. Hey, Jim, good to hear your voice. Hey, David, Craft of the Yeti sounds super interesting. It is. So spam call. Come on. Kentucky Fried Day. Ron's here. Hey, David, all good. Thanks for that. I really do, David. I hope the fires have not given you too much trouble offline. Okay, so that is Plunderlust. That's what one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about, I created these little plates for a game I play called Cthulhu Death May Die. A player got some of the plates. They bought some from me, and they asked me if I would create something similar, like same look and feel. I don't have one with me because I sent them all out, but they have these feet on them that I screw on, and it gives us this old ancient, antique look. And they wanted me to do something similar, but not the same, not exactly the same, but a dice tray. So over the weekend, I sat down and I've been slowly getting caught up on my laser work. Because of the weather last week, I got a little behind, and I'm sort of caught up. I've got a lot of orders that are going out this week, and I'm hoping that the power doesn't go off again, because it's already gone off once today. And if you lose me, it's probably on my end. And I think what's going on is we live in a very large neighborhood, and we live in a county that is really exploding. And I don't think they have the power demands figured out, because whenever it gets super hot or super cold and everybody turns on their AC or everybody turns on their heaters all at once, or whatever, we start getting brownouts or flood outages. And people have been complaining. They haven't done anything about it. But if this video goes out and I don't come back on almost immediately, it's because the power's out. So anyway, let me share with you. I sat down and I played around with some different sizes. Now, I don't go straight to the laser and cut one out without doing some prototyping first. Usually what I do with a prototype is I'll make it either out of cardboard or paper stock, cardstock, or I'll use something that I already have cut out or made for size purposes. When you play this game, especially if you play it solo, but even if you don't play it solo, if you play it with 4 players, tabletop space, real estate space is kind of at a minimum, because the game has a bunch of tiles that are placed in the center of the table. That's the gaming area. And then there's tokens and other stuff. And you have your player tray in front of you, or just your player card. But I didn't want to have like a huge dice tray. And also, you're only rolling like 4 to 7 dice at a time. You don't need a massive dice tray. So I found something that gave me this I want. I got a piece of wood that I'd cut, and I said, yeah, that's about the right size. And then I looked at the height of the walls. Now, height of the walls, if they're too low, when you throw the dice, if it gets a good hop, it could jump out, right? You want it to stay within the confines. So that limits you to the height. You can't go too short. And then, of course, they wanted it to look, their request was if I could make a dice tray that fit the look. Now, the look is stained. I have an unmade one right here. So this is the faceplate. So you stained wood, and I don't have any of the feet to show you. But the 4 feet are these clawed brass, they're like not dirty, they're tarnished looking brass feet on the 4 corners. Well, those feet are hard to find. I do have a bunch, but those are for my player character tray. I didn't want to use those feet for a dice tray. So I placed an order on Amazon for a new type of foot, and I managed to get a few bags of it. These also are going to be a little tricky to keep in stock. I'm going to have to find if I want to keep this as a product I sell on Etsy, which I'm not sure I'm going to do. I'll be honest. I may not sell the dice tray on Etsy. I may just put it on the Cthulhu Death May Die Facebook page and say, hey, if you want one, let me know. I've got enough feet to make 16 of them. I did have enough to make 17, but I shared a photo of it with a fellow player and he wants one. So I'm down to 16 feet. So here it is. It's a small wooden stained dice tray, and it has the elder sign symbol. I also made another one, so you'd have an option. This is the madness symbol from the game. The other symbol is the asterisk for a success, and I didn't want to do that one. It was kind of boring. And then I also engrave it on all four sides of the dice tray. And then on the four corners are mounted these feet. These are small. They're short, so there's not a big gap above the table. And they go on the four edges. And it's this nice little 1930, I call it 1930s. It's an antique looking, very Cthulhu themed dice tray. And when the dice roll in it, they make a nice clacking sound on the wood, and very proud of it. So I worked on that all weekend, and this morning, before the weather went out, I cut out two and I glued them together and bolted screwed the feet on. They're held by screws on the bottom, and they turn out really good. Really. And I played a game this morning of Cthulhu Death May Die with this, and so it worked great. Let me catch up on comments. Project Servertopia, hey, good to hear from you again. A little late, was away from it, but glad to have Jim on the side screen. Hey, yeah, glad you're here. What factors do you consider before deciding to place something on Etsy store? Okay, good question. I'll get to that in just a second. Fred, hey, Fred, how are you? I haven't spoken to you in a while. Rob, thank you. Very, very nice. Everybody likes them. Yeah, listen, I'm an engineer. I have been a maker my entire life. I come from a family of makers. My dad was he was an amateur carpenter, raised that way, although he went to college and did chemistry. But my dad, his carpentry skills way beyond mine, but I hope one day to catch up to him. But my mom always, growing up, had crafts. She was always making things, whether it's ornaments for the tree or gifts to give away. She was always amazing. So I grew up in that environment. And so whenever I play games, if I really enjoy a game, if I just absolutely love a game, there usually comes a time when I will think about what could I make that would make my playing the game more enjoyable. And that's why these kind of things. I didn't think about a dice tray. I thought about the player tray, but I'm really glad this person suggested it, because I like the dice tray. It's so much nicer, and I like the size. I'm glad I didn't make it any bigger. I think it's 5x5 or close to 5, and I love the sound of the dice on it. It's so cool. A light up hero quest table. Oh, David's pushing me again. Yeah, David, we need to chat. Let's set a time to chat. David and we have some projects that were sort of slowly on my side. David does a lot of electrical and lighting and things for gaming, where you can integrate like motion via motors or lights via LEDs. He has got some things that are like magnetic that can be triggered by a miniature being put somewhere. It's wild and crazy stuff. And David, I'm gonna put you on the spot and ask you if you wouldn't mind putting your website. It's called Tektronix. Put your website on the chat if you don't mind. Check him out. He's got all these cool things that you can buy and add to your terrain. And if I didn't embarrass you there, David, give us a sample of that rolling sound. Okay. But hold on, I got to get to a Craft of the Yeti's question. Where are my dice? Oh yeah. All right, here's the sound. I'm going to set it on the ground because I think if I hold it in my hand, you won't get the same effect. You ready? I don't know. There's something about the sound of dice on wood. You know, it just, there you go. So now it does sound different on the Madness one. See if you can tell the difference. Did you hear it? Just messing with you. There's no difference. I don't think there's a difference. Although if you're insane, you might have picked up a slight difference. Yeah, something about that sound. Yeah, it is. I don't know. There's something about dice on wood. All right. So let me get back to Craft. Craft of the 80s said, what factors do you consider before deciding to place some Etsy? When you list something on Etsy, it only costs 20 cents. I think that's what it is. 20 cents sounds about right. And you also have to specify a quantity. So when you sell, you could say 999. If you expect to sell 10 a year and you don't ever want to have to relist the item, you just say 999 and it'll never run out of inventory. But a lot of the things I make, such as this, I have a limited quantity. So if I were to list this on Etsy, I would take photos, maybe shoot a video, put all the stuff in there, the description, the price, calculate the shipping, you know, the box I need to put it in, and then list it. I would specify how many I have. Well, in this case, 16, because I only have enough of the feet to make 16. Well, what happens is when it sells out, I get a notice. Hey, this item's out of stock, and I either have to have already ordered the feet and hope they come in at a reasonable time, or it just triggers me to go and order more feet, and it sits at zero, unavailable for purchase until I get them. One of the things I don't like is when you run out of something, people will put it in their cart because they can't check out. They'll be like, oh, I want it. Actually, that's not true. In stock, they can put it in their cart even though they don't buy it. Okay. But once somebody buys the final one, it flags it as no longer available. So if somebody wants it and they try to order it, it won't let them. So even if I've got the feet that are expected to be delivered today, I have to go in and say, okay, I've got 20 more available. And the problem is, let's say bad weather, strike in Canada, I don't know. For some reason, I don't feet. When someone places an order, it tells them you can expect shipment to be in the mail by this date. But if I'm late because I don't have the parts, or maybe I get sick, or something happens where I'm not able to get it in the mail by the date that Etsy declares it, the problem is they flagged my account as, they have this thing called, it's not super seller or something. You get awards, not awards. If you're on time, if you always ship on time and you respond to queries and you get 4.9 or higher on your 5-star review, your items get pushed up the search engine. When someone searches for Cthulhu dice tray, mine may show up at the very tip top. If I don't maintain that seller credibility with all those ratings, my stuff gets pushed down. So, and what I've learned is it only takes a couple dings. 2 late shipments will do it. 2 4.0 or less out of 5-star ratings can lose it, and it's done on a monthly basis, so you don't lose it for a year. But for 1 month, you lose it. Your search engine stuff drops down, and your sales drop, and it does. It happens. I know. Last year I made 1 month where I missed the super seller thing, and it wasn't because of missing shipments. It was one person dinged me with a 3-star review, and their reason for the review, just so you know, it wasn't even valid. It was out of my control. It arrived late, and it was a shipping thing, and they still dinged me. And they didn't ding me for the quality of the item or anything. They dinged me for shipping. So anyway, that was enough to knock my rating down. and I for the next month I didn't have the super seller, and I noticed that for that month my sales really took a tank, because people, when they search for stuff, they'll look on the first page or second page and that's it. They won't go any deeper. And Etsy is so competitive. I haven't even typed in Cthulhu dice tray, but I suspect if you type in Cthulhu dice tray, there will be a lot of them. And sometimes you luck out. Sometimes there's not a lot of something, so it doesn't affect your rating. And there you go. So to get to your question, why would I choose to do something on Etsy? Well, this will eventually go on Etsy. What I will do is I will see, out of the 16 I have available, I'm gonna make an offer. I'm gonna show some pictures and post it on the Cthulhu Death May Die Facebook group. And if I sell out like in a week, then I suspect I could probably maintain a decent rate of them. Then I'll reevaluate and put it on Etsy. The first time I do it, it will be via PayPal. If you want one, here, send me your PayPal, email address. I'll send you an invoice and blah 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 like that. So that was probably a 20 minute for a 5-second answer, which is I do a test with PayPal just to see how sales do, and then if I think it's going to do well, it'll eventually make it to Etsy. One item that failed, I'll give you an example. This item right here, well, not this exact item. I still make them. I used to make these dry erase boards for Frostgrave, Stargrave, and 5 Parsecs from Home. And I think I did it for 5 Leagues from the Borderlands. I can't remember. So I did at least 3 of them. And I tested the waters with these, and I did sell some, but I didn't sell them in near the quantity that I could make them on demand. It's not hard. I could list it on Etsy, but it never took off. And I was like, I'm not going to list that on Etsy. I tend to list the things on Etsy that sell at least on a weekly basis, if not a bi-weekly basis. Hey, Cal, how are you? It's good to hear from you again. Hey, Mia, how are you? Terrence says, be sure you add wood to the description, since most of the Cthulhu. Oh yeah, it always does. I put so many tags in my, you can 13 single word descriptors that will be searchable. And so I always put wood, handmade, antique, I come up with a bunch and stuff like that. Kraus says, thanks for the in-depth answer. You're welcome. Sorry it took so long. So let's see. Plunderlust, dice tray. And now let me share with you some of my new terrain. Let me make some room here so I don't spill on this. I don't spill on that. So today I've got a tower. This is the bottom, middle, and top right there. So I'm going to give this the sponging, and then the blue icy effect, and then the snow effect. And then I just have some smaller pieces here. I have a crypt that is in ruin. There's a sarcophagus down in there. You can kind of see it. And then just a piece of standard scattered rain. And while I'm sponging these, I'll show you the final results. But I just figured I'd come on live and chat with you until either the power goes out or an hour hits, or you guys all bail on me and then I'm left alone. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is break this tower into its 3 pieces. That way I can get up in here and get the detail parts. It uses these little pegs to hold it together, and I just use those so that when I put it together, it puts them on correctly, and I use glue to hold it in place. So for those of you who weren't here for the last time I did this, I start out with a black primed 3D printed piece. Just prime it all in black. And believe it or not, I've been using paint and primer. And somebody in the last video says, why don't you just use black primer? And I didn't realize that Rust-Oleum, is it Rust-Oleum, came with just a flat primer. Yeah, I mean, I should have known, but I figured since they were selling this paint and primer, and this is like $7 a can. But I was in the hardware store the other day, and it just popped in my mind. I was like, yeah, I wonder about black primer. Yeah, they make flat black primer. and it's $3 cheaper. So stupid me, I've been priming and painting things with the paint and primer, which is $3, and I should have just been using the black. So there you go, live and learn. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a gray acrylic, and I take sponges. You could dry brush this. It works. I like the effect that a sponge gives. And when I say a sponge, this is a little mini version cut up into a square, as you can see. And let me get my scissors because I need to cut a bit. Project served it. Well, crap, I wasn't careful and learned something just. Yeah, I hate it when you learn new things, all right? Who makes the mat you use for your Frostgrave games? I have threats for Frostgrave, but I'm assuming you mean the one in the most recent video. And if that's the case, that is an official. That is a Frostgrave branded mat from Osprey Games. I don't know if they still sell it. I think they do. They don't. They usually keep stuff in stock, but if it's the one that's in my most recent Frostgrave video series called Transcend, then that mat is from Osprey Games. Just because it's cheaper doesn't make it better. Yeah, that is true. I've had problems with that paint and primer. I've not. That thing, I think it's weather related. The paint and primer, I've never had issue with. The primer worked fine, but there are other colors. For example, Rust-Oleum yellows, anything yellow, horrible. And I think it's the humidity. I think it has something to do with the humidity in Atlanta. Now, right now, it's just too cold. But normally when I paint yellows, they're always sticky. It can be 2 days later and they're still sticky. Same with orange. Red doesn't do that. Orange and yellows are the worst. Purples never give enough coverage. I always have to do 2 or 3 coats of the Rust-Oleum 2X paint and primer purple, which is really weird because all the other colors, it's usually just 1 coat. All right, so I've got the sponge done, and then basically I just rotate the part or rotate my hand, and I just go around and I hit the walls and give it that distressed look. And when I can't get down in areas like the door, I'll get to a smaller sponge in a minute. And I also go around the top edges, even though they'll be covered. Sometimes you can't predict where the coverage stops, so you do want to hit the tops just so you get everything you can. And this one has a lot of indentations, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to go to a smaller sponge to get into those deep recesses. But this is also a good size for like the floor inside. And most of the floor is not going to be visible once the tower's put together, but I'm going to go ahead and hit it anyway. And because I don't know, it's just me. It's the completionist in me. If I'm playing a game and look inside a piece of terrain and it's like white inside because they didn't paint it black, or if they didn't paint it at all, it just sort of breaks the immersion to me. So I like to see the effect done all the way through. So there you go. I've got most of the floor, and I'm not going to be going really crazy on this piece, only because like I said, once the tower's put together, there's a lot of areas that you just won't be able to see. So hitting all the stonework and things like that, the corners, the rubble, getting all that, and then I'll go in with a smaller. I'm going to let that dry before I go in with the smaller one. Since I've got the bigger one, I'm going to keep moving. Hey, Tyler. Tyler, haven't talked to you in a while. We've been missing you on the live chats. Random guy. The primer alone is better than the paint and primer for Rust-Oleum. There is an actual difference between them where the primer alone adheres. I can believe that. I can. Because this primer is what I did on. It's very good. The coverage is well done. I can hardly tell the difference because both of them are flat finish, but the primer it's just as good as the paint and primer, in my opinion, and it's $3 cheaper. So I'll go with the cheaper one. And also it was in stock. Whereas sometimes the flat black cans, it's a popular, I won't say color, it's a popular basing color. So a lot of times it's out of stock at Home Depot, which is where I tend to go for my paints. So it's nice knowing that the primer, lots of cans of the primer, but the other one they were very low on, and like I said, I'm completely sold out. All right, almost done with this piece. And this is the second level for the tower. So again, I'm just getting those areas that I'm pretty confident will be visible, and then not worrying so much about the higher up areas that where the roof will be blocking it. So there you go with that one. And you can see there's areas I didn't get. I'm going to go back and get those with a smaller sponge. Tyler says, are we painting Wednesday? Yes, I'm back to my normal Wednesdays. This will be the third one in a row this Wednesday. It's just been Ron and me for the last few weeks. What we're talking about is every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern time, on my Discord channel for the Tabletop Engineer Plays, we do a live miniature painting chat session. You're welcome. Come join me. The reason is, and Ron and Tyler can admit that I'm very productive. I usually get 2 or 3 minis painted in just the 1 hour. And it's because, I know people are coming on, and I want to paint and chat while they're, it's time I specifically set aside for painting. And so I've discovered that it's very productive. I usually get 2 or 3 miniatures painted. So if you're having a hard time getting motivated to paint, get a miniature primed and come join us on Wednesday. And I promise you, because a lot of us are going, hey, show me what you're doing. Show me how much, show me what it looks like. So there's a little bit of peer pressure to paint and show off what, we do have people that come and just visit and chat, and there is nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with that. But most of us that have been on there, we're there to paint minis. So there you go. Come and join us. I used to limit it to just patrons, but if you're not a patron, I'm not going to hold that against you. If you want to come and join us, just reach out to me and I'll send an invite to you. My email, the best email is Jim's Workshop. One word, JIMS Workshop at fastmail.com. And I'll send you a link. I'll get you hooked up. So let's see. I will be there. Good to see. I'll be glad to see you again. Ron says, same here. I've gotten so many. Yeah, Ron and I, man, we chat. We have a good visits, and but we do get some minis painted. And I think Ron actually does more than me because he's just a more productive painter than I am. He gets it done. I use speed paints, and Ron is still going faster than me. So anyway, let me get this finished, and I'll check the chat real quick, see what you guys are coming up with. I'm making the assumption that a lot of you are at work because I've got 24 people that are live and only about 6 chatting. So I hope I'm not getting anybody in trouble at work, or you've got me on a side monitor with the volume off. You've got headphones in and you can listen while you work. But if you're at work, thanks for joining me. I do appreciate it. Always like to have a bunch of people on to talk to. And this is going to happen. I'm going to do this stuff whether someone's on or not. So I stream it, and if nobody shows, it's just me talking to myself. Although YouTube record it, so if you ever miss one of these, don't sweat it. It is recorded, and it will be available. You find it on the live. It's on my Tabletop Engineer Plays channel, but there's a videos, and then a couple over there's a live. You have to click the live to watch the live streams, the post recorded live streams. Jim likes to talk more than us. Yeah, I do. Do you wet that sponge a little so it's damp and not wet before? Oh yeah. The sponge is sorry. I get the sponge just a little wet. I just a little bit, and then it absorbs, so it's a little soft, and then I do the paint. Yeah. These are like this one right here is hardened. You can't see. I've got a thing of water here. So before I did, I dipped it in there like that, and you can see, well, it's already going up the sponge. And then I just squeeze it out, any excess water, and it's ready to go. All right, so here is the little sponge. Did I miss anything? Pressure. How do we find the Discord? Okay, my Discord channel is called The Tabletop Engineer. Please forgive me, as I am not a super Discord expert. I think you can just join the channel or join the group, or it's a server. I think you can just join it. If that doesn't work, just shoot me an email with your email address and I will send an invite, or however it works. But I'm learning Discord. I'm not an expert at it, so still trying to figure out all the bells and whistles on it. So I could be wrong. It may not just let you in, but I think my son helped me set it up, and I think he told me that that's the way it's supposed to work. We all love that word, supposed to work. So anyway, maybe not. No, you're not muted, but the volume is kind of down low, work library. Oh, okay. Serving up dinner here in the UK. Oh, yeah, Toby's over. And if you don't know, we've got Toby Lancaster here. If you don't know who that is, he is the creator of 2D6 Dungeon, which earlier in the video or the stream, I mentioned that when I really get into a game, I tend to make things to help my game. Toby is the creator of 2D6 Dungeon, which is probably one of my favorite games in the world to play solo. I release new videos just about weekly, or I do release them weekly. And he is one of the first third-party games that I made a custom item for. I made a game board so that people who play, because it's designed to be played solo. I created a board for it for people to track their hero and combat and their weapons and things like their health and things like that. So if you're not familiar with 2D6 Dungeon, I'm going to give Toby a big shout out. He's not paying me. I get no payment, nothing. I just love the game and think so highly of it that I have to give him kudos for putting it out there. And if you're looking for a good solo fantasy RPG, a dungeon crawler, where you go in and you fight monsters and you find secrets and traps and all that, you have got to try 2D6 Dungeon. And I think, Toby, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Toby still makes the first level of the game like it's a 10-level dungeon, and it's procedurally generated, meaning you roll a lot of dice to generate it. But he made the first level of the dungeon and the rules free, and I think you can still get that. Am I correct? I hope I'm correct on that. Let's see. David says that is exactly what's going on. I have to sign off. No worries. If you got to leave, you got to leave. Cal says, yes, I'm at work, so I chat a little. Todd, you've mentioned scenes on past videos. Where can we find those? I actually got up this morning bright and early and ran about 180 zines to the post office. I just finished I don't even know what number that is, Kickstarter. I just finished another Kickstarter. This was Delver 16, issue 16, Runes number 5, and Dungeon Depths number 5. And I ran that as a Kickstarter, and I just finished fulfillment today. Everything's in the mail except backers haven't filled out their survey. My zines back issues are available at somewheres. I'm sorry. That's my Etsy store. Here, I'll type it into the chat for you. It's the tabletopengineer.bigcartel.com. And if you wait a day or two, I'm going to try to get it up today, but it may be tomorrow. I'll get the newest issues added. So, so you could, if you do multiple issues or you want the most current ones, you don't have to do double shipping. I'll try my best to get that done today, so that, because I've already had a bunch of people ask me who missed the Kickstarter when I'm going to have it available on the on my store, my web store, and that answer is today or tomorrow. So thanks for asking. I appreciate that. You looking forward to the 2D6 dungeon board and Tony's? Yeah, I mean, Toby just finished a Kickstarter. I think you finished it. Yeah, you did. for a game called 2D6 Legendary. It's going to take the 2D6 dungeon to Legendary. It has new rule mechanics, new monsters, new abilities, some pretty cool stuff. And I cannot recall when. I'm not even going to put words in Toby's mouth. It just finished the. Don't expect to see 2D6 Legendary, soon. He's got to still get it printed and edited and play tested and stuff like that. 2D6 Dungeon is fully available right now. He also has a spinoff of it. I call it a spinoff called 2D6 Realm, which allows you to play 2D6 Dungeon below ground and then go above and explore the world above. And you roll for like the land and things you find on the land and treasures and monsters. It's really well done. August or so. Yeah, I think Toby says, thanks, Jim. That's kind of you to give me a shout out. Yes, the first is free. Okay, excellent. If you have not played it, download the free version. I will guarantee you there are some people on here who have never played 2D6 Dungeon. Download the free rules, play the first level, make your hero, pick your weapons, pick your armor, go down into level 1 and try to find the stairs down to level 2 and tell me that you didn't have fun playing that game. It's so good. All right, this sponge is getting, well, you know what? I'm running out of paint. That's what I did. Let me squeeze some more on here. So we are going at 52 minutes. I'm going to stick around for another 8 to 10 minutes, and then I'm going to cut out because I tend to multitask. I do this for a little bit. I don't know why I've never done it. Well, I've never done this before because it's never been this cold in Atlanta while I've been in this workshop. I finally went and broke down and bought a thermometer for outside and inside so I know what the temperature is in my workshop. Because if it gets below, well, they say 35, but somebody else said 40. If it gets below 40 degrees, the laser is water cooled. It has a chiller that cycles water through the tube, the laser tube, so it doesn't overheat. But in really cold environments, the water can freeze, right? I mean, some people put antifreeze in the chiller. I don't do that. That I guess maybe I could. I just use regular distilled water like the manufacturer recommends. But if the water freezes and you use your laser, I don't think the laser has an auto detect. Actually, yes, it does. Yes, it does. I don't know if it detects the water's frozen or too cold before the tube could be damaged. I could be wrong about that, but it does have water detection because one time I forgot to turn on the chiller. The chiller turns on automatically when the laser comes on. The plug into the water cooler had been unplugged. So when I turned on the laser powered up, but the chiller did not. So when I went to run a job, it started the job and then it stopped and it beeped real loud and it said water error or something like that. And I went back there and I was like, oh man, the chiller's not on. So it did catch it, but I don't know if the damage would have been done. I don't remember how much time elapsed and whether or not the damage would have been done if the water was frozen. So long story there for you, but if you have a laser cutter, you got to know what the temperature is, the ambient temperature, so that the laser can operate properly. And this morning it was at 40. So I was like, maybe I could run it. So I did run it to make those dice trays. And then I went and I looked and the temperature had dropped to like, I don't know, 35 or 36. So I turn off the laser. Even though it's not freezing, it still recommends you just don't do it. The water's just too cold. Glass tube that the water is being forced into. And I just don't think cold temperatures, cold water, and glass, probably do together. All right, that one's good enough. I can call that one done. And so before I cut out of here, I want to get you to the ice effect first. I won't have time today to do the snow effect, which is just a bottle of snow paste. It's from Vallejo, and you get a stick and you just dab it on, and it dries, and it looks like snow on your thing. All right, so these, you know what? I've been jabbering and I never did this one. I'll do that one at another time. So I've got our dry brush or sponged. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this matte finish Calypso Sky. It's a very icy blue, as you can probably see in the video. In person, it looks really good. My video it's a little washed out. So the colors often aren't as good as they are in person. But what I do is I just squeeze some out. Let me get my brush. And I just dry brush. This blue over all the surfaces until I'm satisfied that the coverage is there. You don't want to go too heavy because then it'll just paint it blue. But you want a dry brushing. So I'm going to do the big one first, so you'll get to see the whole effect before I bug out. And so you load up the brush, right? And then on a paper towel, you just get it off. And then I just sort of keep going until it has a blue. And again, it's washed out on the screen, but in person, it really does sort of look like maybe it's covered in a frost or an ice, an icy glaze. Somebody suggested that I hit it with a clear, like a glossy clear coat. I am going to do that. I'm going to do it on one of my smaller pieces. I'm just worried that it's going to be the glossiness will not be fun to look at on the tabletop. I want the terrain to be visible. I want it to immerse you in the game. What I don't want is for the terrain to become the single point of interest. That should be the game, the miniatures on the table and the game. So I don't want terrain that is like annoyingly grabbing your vision. Like if it has a gloss to it or a shine to it, I just don't know. I don't know how that would do for me. And to be fair, all of the terrain I've made so far that I've done do not have the glossy effect, and I'm quite happy with it. So I'm one of those that's like, why ruin a good thing if you're happy with it? Just keep doing what you're doing, and so that's why I may not do it. David says, how about some clear UV resin? Dude, stop it. He's making fun because he knows I'm allergic to resin. Golly, my boys, I sometimes call my boys down when I need to, I'm allergic to super glue and resin. And so my boys, they make fun of me because I'll often call them down to the basement and I'll be in my mask, my full mask with breathing apparatus. And I'll be mumbling, it's like, hey, I need you to, and I'll glue stuff for me. They make fun of me, as most kids are going to do. It's good, it's fun to make fun of dad, but they find it humorous that I have this allergy to super glue, and it's not humorous. It makes my eyes, bug out, and I get all like, I don't even know what the word would be. I get, I don't like balloon up, but my eyes get really swollen and red and puffy, and I don't like it. So anyway, so David's poking fun at my my insecure, not my insecurity, my debility there, of not being able to use glue. Maybe mix in a little UV reactive paint. Forgot. Oh, okay. He says he forgot. You probably did. When he was here in my workshop, and I had to put on, I think I'm gluing some stuff. I don't know, David, did I put on the full mask for you when we were here to get the full effect? Because I think I did. I'm pretty confident that you got the full, rad zone, gym and a, the only thing I need is a radiation suit to complete the effect. All right, so this is almost done. I got a couple more. No, I think that's done. And I have wanted so long to have terrain dedicated to Frostgrave, and I finally have it. So he says, "Oh yeah, it was quite a show." Yeah, I do. I need like the radioactive suit to suit up. Although I bet it's pretty hot, probably not comfortable at all. Guys, we are going on at an hour, so I did manage to get one level done. I'm going to go ahead and hit these up with the blue. As a matter of fact, you know what I'll do? I'll stay on for about 5 or 10 more minutes, finish up just the tower, and then I'm going to have to go. First off, I got to go upstairs and check that my boys haven't, set any fires or anything. They're pretty good teenagers, but they're still teenage boys, and I have to check in on them occasionally, make sure they don't fight usually, but sometimes. I usually can hear a fight, and I can get up there in time to diffuse it. But yeah, I need to go check on them, let them know that Dad's still alive. They were both out of school today, so I've kind of given them some distance to let them enjoy their day off. But to a point, I can't do too much of that. And I've also got to watch that temperature. It hasn't dipped. No, it hasn't dipped, so I can't fire up the laser, which is unfortunate. I really got some things I need to do. But so before I leave, is there anything I can do during these live chats, maybe an upcoming live chat to help you guys out? One person has asked me to do a live chat, and I don't know, maybe I'll do it like, it won't be a live chat, it'll be a scheduled, I don't know. Anyway, one person asked me if I would help them create a zine for February. I don't know if you're aware, but February Kickstarter is it's called Zine Quest. Every year in February, just about for the last, 5 or 6 years, maybe longer, they turn the month of February into what they call Zine Quest. And a lot of people, they release a zine or more in the month of February as on Kickstarter. Sometimes that's the only one they do, and you won't hear from them again for a whole year. And then some of them, their game takes off and it turns into a side gig and they start producing more content. There's been a lot of RPG zines that have been released over the last few years, and a lot of them have developed the fan base. So somebody asked me, they're like, hey, could you do a Q&A? I think I've done it before. I feel like I've done it before, but I may do one in the next week or two for those who, and I may announce it, like it'll be specific. We won't be talking about anything other than zines and Zine Quest. So it may not be of interest to everybody, but something like that. If there's something I can do, because it is in my nature to share what I know. That comes from the tech writer in me, and just I've never held back. If I do something and somebody, I don't worry about competition and stuff like that, because somebody asked me one time, they're like, aren't you worried somebody will do what you do on with a laser and put you? And I'm like, no. I mean, there's plenty of customers out there, plenty of business, plenty of things that have never been done before. I'm always coming up with new ideas. I don't worry about that kind of stuff. I just care about that stuff. So I put that out there to you, that if you have an idea, or if there's something specifically that I could talk about that interests you, that you want to know more about, let me know. Happy to help where I can. I forget a new word, resin effect, etc., called bioaccumulative. Okay. Why is the laser on stop? Shouldn't it warm up the water? You would think so. But the point of the laser, of the chiller, is to pump cold water through the laser. So my guess is that even though the laser's firing, it's not meant to, maybe it doesn't heat the water up. I mean, heat transfers to cold, not the other way. Remember my thermodynamics, right? Heat always transfers to cold. So yeah, it should warm the water up a little bit, but remember, the water is flowing. It's a loop. It goes in through the tube, out, back into the chiller, and it's just a closed system. So I don't know. Personally, I'd love a walkthrough of you using your laser. I've done that, I think. I'm happy to do it again. Yeah, I'll have to think about how to set up a camera. It wouldn't be hard. I could do that. So Servatopia, what you could do is maybe email me at jimsworkshop@fastmail.com and tell me kind of a little bit more about what you would want to see in that live stream, and I could probably make that happen. I will say, owning a laser, it's fun. I mean, it opens up a lot of opportunities for gamers, or if you have a business like mine. It really is, and there's no competition. I mean, lasers are still, I won't say they're in their infancy, but they are, in a sense, in the personal, like in the side gig and small business arena, because they've only come down in price, affordable prices, in the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, not even that long. When the Glowforge came out, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer than that, it was like $2,500, and it was slow and finicky, and you had to be connected to the company to upload your files to cut, because all the work was done on Glowforge's servers, and so servers were down, your business was shut down. I mean, you were out of business. You could not cut. It does not have the ability to do offline work. And that happened to me a few times, and that's one of about 5 reasons I decided to go with a bigger. The primary reason I went with the bigger laser was just speed and size of the bed, and faster, better, deeper cuts. But another reason was I don't have to worry about the company Thunder. If they go out of business, I can still use my laser. Spare parts are typically things I can get on Amazon. I don't know of anything that requires me to go through Thunder. There are a few things like the power, the motherboard, but I've heard from other Thunder users that there are boards that can kind of do the same thing. But thankfully, Thunder is a very strong company. I'm not worried about them going out of business anytime soon, and so I'm not worried about that at all. All right, let's take a look. All right, so here is the base. Here is the second level. And here is the top. And I will glue these together because they wiggle. They wiggle. I don't want it so that it's solid. And then, like I said, the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm not going to do it today, is I'll take the Vallejo snow effect and I'll apply it on all the flat surfaces where snow would accumulate, and a little bit on the wood, and then some on the ground and stuff like that. One thing I didn't do was I didn't hit the boards. There's a layer here of boards. I didn't hit them with brown dry brushing before I did the blue. So I will have to do that again. Not a big deal. I'm not going to do that right now, but I will do it before you see this in action. It will be done up right. All right, let's see. Second on the laser walkthrough. All right, I'm hearing you. Jordan says, what number do you put on Notepad to get an answer and information and everything and all? Understand what you are asking there. What number do you put on Notepad to get an answer and information and everything and all? Anyway, what number do you put to get an answer and information and everything? What number do you put? Number, he keeps asking. I apologize, Jordan. I'm not understanding the question, so apologies. All right, my friends, that is it. I went a little over. I try to keep these at an hour. We're at an hour 10, so please forgive me. I know some of you would love me to just go all afternoon, but I need to go up and get something to drink. I need to check on my boys. I need to sit down and do some writing. I'm trying to take advantage of the fact that I'm pretty confident the power will go out again before night hits, because the temperature is dropping drastically. And tonight we're going to have a teens type weather. So I want to go check a few things before power goes out and I can't get on the internet and stuff like that. So thanks for sharing, y'all. Todd says, glad I caught the live stream. Okay. Yeah. Thank you all for joining me. And again, I'm trying to do 2 of these a week. So today's what? Tuesday? What's today? Golly, I can't even. Today's Tuesday. I'll try to do maybe on Thursday or Friday. And if not, it'll definitely be Saturday, because I want to do 2 a week. And I will always try to announce it on my Tabletop Engineer Facebook group, so that you'll have some advance notice. Sometimes I don't have advance notice. I just do it. When I can schedule it, I will do my best to do that. So thank you, my friends. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to cut out now. And if you need me, I put my email address in the chat there. Feel free to email me with your questions. You guys that want to know about the laser, let me know specifically kind of what you would want to see, what you want me to cover, and I'll see what I can come up with. All right. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you very soon. Okay. Bye.